My husband, 33, passed away 3 weeks ago. He used to work for this company for 4 years. He'd known lots of people and made many friends. For days I kept getting texts from his colleague Ted. I don't know him personally, I had no idea how he even got my number. When he first texted me I texted, "Where did you get my number?" And he replied saying he got it from my husband. At first, I felt annoyed, but then I started getting flirty texts from him. They started getting more and more inappropriate. I warned him to stop, but he sent me a D-Pic one night at 3 a.m. and asked if I needed company since he knew I was lonely. I was appalled and enraged, I couldn't even sleep at night. I waited till the early morning to go to the company, straight to his boss, and filed a report against him after explaining in detail about his behavior. He ended up getting fired because the other colleagues said he did me and my husband wrong and disrespected his memory. He started arguing about how low what I did was, coming to his work in hopes of ruining his livelihood. He kept saying it was between him and me, and his workplace had nothing to do with it, but I told him I've known only as my husband's colleague, and he was his colleague. He and a friend of his said that I was aiming to get him fired and that he did nothing wrong, and I could have talked it out with him instead. My mom called him an idiot for doing this to my husband and me, but also said that he had a point in that I shouldn't come after his livelihood since the guy has a kid to provide for. I felt bad about the whole thing, and now I feel like I made things worse and acted out of emotions. He got your phone number at work. He knew you were a widow because of work. He would never have targeted you if he hadn't known your husband and knew he died. So his behavior had everything to do with work. And doing this to his co-worker's widow? Of course, his employer was horrified. The guy had it coming. Preying on someone's grief is so low. Not the idiot. Exactly. Plus she's a widow of 3 weeks. I might understand reaching out after 6 months and building a friendship, but 3 weeks and those pics, that man deserved the consequences for his horrible actions. OP, I'm so sorry for your loss and that you were harassed by this man. Please consider filing a police report if he continues. This is not okay behavior. Obviously not the idiot. Given how quickly they fired him, I'm guessing that this was not his first case of sexually harassing wives of coworkers. Or coworkers. As an employer, this idiot could be employee of the century, and I would still fire him for only this. Not the idiot. He wasn't worried about his children's livelihood when he was harassing his coworker's widow. I have no idea where he was even coming from sending this pic to a grieving widow of 3 weeks. What the hell? Not the idiot. He screwed around and found out. The fact you are the widow of his late work colleague makes this absolutely a work issue. He disrespected and harassed you. If he didn't want to lose his job, all he had to do was not harass you, literally that's all he had to do. He wanted you to deal with him without going to his work, cause then he would face no consequences. He was already not listening when you said stop, and generally, cops won't do anything unless it's immediately threatening. Going to his work was the only way he was going to learn. You absolutely did the right thing. My 42F husband, 44M, and I have been married for 21 years. We have 2 adult children, 22M and 24M, one is in college out of state and the other is in the Navy. When we first got married, my husband was in the Navy and we spent the first 10 years of our marriage moving from place to place, wherever his new duty station was. I found it hard to make friends and I could not keep a job, so I made a difficult decision and decided to be a SOM. When he got out of the Navy 11 years ago, he took a job and we moved. 3 years in, he got offered a job in another part of the company, however, it was in another state, so we moved again. We stayed there for 6 years. I went back to college and got my degree and began looking for work. I found a job I liked in my field, and 6 months into working, he said he was offered a job with a new company and wanted to take it, but that would mean we would be moving almost 2,000 miles from where we were, a new state. I reluctantly agreed because the new state would have more job opportunities for me and we would be closer to our family, which is something that we have not had in many years. Last night my husband came up to me and said that there was a job opening in his company and he wanted to apply for it. It would mean a pay raise and better hours, but the caveat would be that we have to move again. We have been living in our new state for 3 years. I love it here. I have an amazing job and I am making great money. I finally have friends and am able to socialize. I told him that I am not moving again. Anytime we have to move, he always leaves first and I end up being responsible for packing the house, and I am not doing that again. Our son's college is only 2 hours from here, we can see him twice a month. If we move, that means we would have at least a day's drive and would only be able to do that once or twice a year. Now my husband is upset with me and guilt-tripping me because he claims I do not support him. I told him that was crap because I spent most of my life moving from place to support his career. He told me that I am selfish and he is just trying to provide for us. I told him that we are more than comfortable where we are now and that if he truly wants to take the job, he will be going alone. Am I the idiot for refusing to move again? Update. To answer some questions. My husband and I have been together since I was 15 and he was 17. He joined the Navy right after graduation from high school when he was 18 and I was 16, but had to wait 2 years before we could marry. He works for a company that has plants in 15 states. He is currently in middle management, but if he wants to advance his career further, he would need to go to another plant out of state. Financially, we are more than comfortable. We do not need any more money. My son plans to stay in the place he is after college. We have a great relationship with him and he comes home 1 time a month and we see him 1 time a month. My other son comes home on leave whenever he can and stays with us. We are very close to both of the boys. I talked to my husband again tonight and told him quite firmly that moving again was not an option for me. The area he wants to move to has very few jobs in my field and specialty in that area, and I would need to commute more than an hour one way for a job versus the 20 minutes I have here. We are sandwiched between 2 major cities, and if we move we would be an hour from the most major city. I would also have to take a massive pay cut and work a menial job to build a new network to find employment in my field. My husband is disappointed in me for not wanting to leave. He left to stay with a friend because he needs to think. He doesn't understand why I would force him to turn down an opportunity to advance his career further. I told him to take all the time he needs, but I am not moving again. I said I would revisit the possibility when I am ready for retirement in 15 years, but no sooner. Not the idiot, you gave yourself already the answer. You supported his career for 21 years, you gave everything up for him, your social life, your family, and even postponed your education. And now, everything is settled, you're doing finally fine too. He accuses you of not supporting him. He should start supporting you for a bit. You did your part, now it's your time to shine. Not the idiot. Your husband should be discussing each move with you, and it should be a combined decision, especially now that you have a job. His job and offer do not automatically have preference over yours. Stand up for yourself now. It is not too late. Have a conversation about the pros and cons. About long-term plans. It is okay if you end up deciding to move. Just make sure you have a say in it. Not the idiot. He's become accustomed to always getting it his own way with very little pushback. Now that's not just happening, he's trying to guilt and flip it around on you. Stand your ground. It's going to be tough because there's been a pattern over the years that he will be loath to give up, but it's now or never for you. Polish that backbone. I'll preface this by saying that I, 35 am a widower with 2 kids, 9, 11. I recently got back to work and since I work night shifts, I had to get the kids a babysitter. They're at school during the day and my sister stays with them. I was able to find a babysitter with the help of a co-worker. Actually, they're related and things have been going pretty well except for a few days ago. The babysitter called me while I was at work to tell me that my 9-year-old daughter broke her glasses. I got home, heard both sides of the story, and came to the conclusion that it was in fact an accident. But the babysitter said my daughter broke them intentionally after she refused to let her outside late in the evening. I asked my 11-year-old daughter, and she said the babysitter's story is accurate, but since she and her sister have a beef then, I figured she lied to set her sister up. My 9-year-old daughter cried and said she didn't mean it and it was an accident. I apologized to the babysitter for the misunderstanding, but she insisted there was no misunderstanding and then asked me to pay her for a pair of new glasses. I was taken aback by her request and told her I thought we talked this out and rolled it out as an accident, but she insisted it wasn't an accident. I apologized but refused and said it was unfair to expect me to pay, especially since she didn't pay attention to keeping her glasses safe, regardless of whether it was an accident or not. The babysitter argued with me and then started crying, swearing that my daughter broke them to get back at her. My 11-year-old daughter sided with her, but my 9-year-old said she is only siding with the babysitter for her own benefit. The girls started fighting and I ended up telling the babysitter to leave. She got my co-worker involved and she said I should take responsibility and pay the babysitter for new glasses since she cannot afford them being a broke college student and in need of glasses. I apologized but refused to pay. My co-worker got upset and shamed me for condoning my younger daughter's actions and treating the babysitter poorly when she was the victim in this situation. It's been days and the babysitter is still wanting me to pay for new glasses, but I feel like she's trying to use the fact that I'm in dire need of help and is hoping to get extra money out of my pocket. You're the idiot. It doesn't actually matter if it was an accident or not, your child broke her glasses, so you need to pay to replace them. You're the idiot. You are actually legally responsible for accidents as well as deliberate breakages that happen on your property to people you have employed. Quite apart from that, you are teaching your daughter that her actions have no consequences if she didn't mean it. Your coworker is right, and even your 11-year-old daughter can see this. Grow up, take responsibility, and make good the damage. If you don't, I hope she sues you, because she would win. You're the idiot. Even if it was an accident, she's your child, and therefore you, still responsible for it. The babysitter isn't trying to squeeze money out of you, your child broke her glasses. Doesn't matter if it was an accident. Your kid broke her accessibility aid and you need to fork it over. Your kid ruins something, it doesn't matter if it was an accident, it's your responsibility to make amends. Gods, drop the victim blaming.